Welcome to Should Have Known. I'm Venomous, and with me as always is my hetero life mate,
Titan.
On today's episode, we're going to share with you travel stories.
Yeah, so Venomous and myself have traveled quite extensively for work and personal reasons, and I think we have some kind of funny and interesting stories that we can share with everyone that could be entertaining.
We'd love to interact with you, so please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I would love to hear your travel experiences as well.
So I guess, we've kind of talked about this over the years. It's like, I know that most of your traveling for work was regionally. We've talked about that, I think, even in the past episode.
Yes.
But I know over the last few years, you've also been doing a lot more traveling for conferences and stuff like that. And, I know that I have more experience when it comes to international travel than you do as well. Because Puerto Rico is technically
Oh, you
not
have a wealth
international.
of experience.
Yeah.
You are the most well-traveled person between the both of us. Maybe not that I know, but you are definitely up there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've never really traveled outside of the US. Canada doesn't really count because, let's be honest, Canada is like US light.
Yeah, true. But I mean, they have at least good health care. So, it's a pro. I think
that's what they want you to think.
Yeah. I think that, and I would count Canada. I would, just like you should count Mexico if you've been to Mexico.
Nope, never been to Mexico.
Oh. Well,
are you trying to say something just because I'm brown?
No, because I don't want to be canceled.
You think we're all like Mexicans?
I would normally make jokes between you and me that no one else would hear because we're okay with it, but I don't want us to get canceled because I said something that is a joke, but others might not take it as a joke. No.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so for me, international travel, I've been to Canada, Mexico, Honduras, Bahamas, Grand Cayman, Belize, France, Italy, Spain, Germany, Poland, UK, Singapore, Taiwan, United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain. I think that's everywhere.
So, like,
Did I say Poland?
I kind of stopped. Yeah, I stopped counting after like the 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
But I think you were like around, 12, 13 different places or something like that you've been to?
I didn't even count it up.
Yeah.
And I still could have missed a place. But yeah, so a lot of international travel over the years. Some of that was military, but actually most of it's just been working for companies that happen to have locations overseas. And I got to go over there for various reasons, which...
Yeah, that's awesome.
I like going to the places or getting to the places. I don't like the getting there part, sitting on the airplane.
Oh man, dude, sitting on a plane for hours.
So my first trip,
and I don't know if you ever noticed, but I have some really, really nice birthing hips.
Sure.
So sitting in an airplane seat is really uncomfortable for me.
So my first international trip to Europe, I won't count going to Mexico or Canada because the flights weren't that long. But my first trip there, I had to fly from Washington, D.C. I was actually flying from South Carolina to Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C. to Germany. I don't remember which city in Germany. Frankfurt, I think. And then from there to Italy, right? And so I was flying coach. I was in, it was 3, 5, and 3. I was in the middle seat of the 5. And next to me were 2 guys my size, which is, you can attest, I'm a bigger guy.
Dude, okay. Let's take a quick pause right there.
Yeah.
Why didn't your work pay for you to be upgraded to like business class?
Yeah, so they didn't do that because there was a policy for business. And it had to be like over a certain many hours of flying and, straight. Like, even though total hours, when you combine the whole trip, it's whatever your longest leg is. So yeah, no, not business.
So you had breaks in there, so your work cheaped out.
Correct. Yeah. And this was on an older plane that only had the one TV screen at the front of each like main area. So
yep.
So that sucked.
Did you still have like a little cigarette holder or whatever, or cigarette, the ashtray?
Yep. And the bad thing is, like, this is
I can't believe I called it a cigarette holder. What the fuck is wrong with me?
so this is pre tablets, and so all I have is a book, that I'm reading, and yeah, it sucked.
That is barbaric.
And I don't sleep on planes anymore.
No.
So my best trip, I'll give you that one real quick. So my best trip was to Singapore, and I had to fly from Houston to Taiwan, which was 15 hours, and then Taiwan to Singapore, which was 5 hours. So because of the 15 hours, this was a different company. By their policy, I could be upgraded to business class. And I was lucky enough that the airline I was flying with doesn't really have a first class. So their business class is kind of like first class international. It's like a hybrid.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
Oh God, yeah. It was super nice. And even with that, and being able to lay down flat and super ultra comfortable situation, or at least comparatively, I still only slept like 3.5 hours out of the 15. So, and it was a late night flight. Like we didn't leave until like 9 o'clock at night. So I should have slept, and I still didn't. But yeah,
still miserable no matter what, dude.
Yeah, definitely sucks. But
plus, you're like in a situation that you're not in necessarily all the time, where you're traveling overnight like that.
Right.
So like your body, I don't know, it's got its like all the commotion that happens, even when the cabin's quiet.
Yeah.
You can still hear like the humming of the engine. There's still people that you can hear them coughing, sneezing, right? There's still a little bit of noise happening. So it's bound to throw you off. And then your circadian rhythm is probably completely just way out of whack.
Oh yeah.
So
I took,
I can totally understand that.
I started having anxiety from flying because I was flying all the time, and I started getting in my head like, oh, the more you fly, the more likely you are to be in a situation where stuff goes bad, kind of a thing. And
the odds are not in your favor at that point. Yeah.
So I ended up, I actually took anxiety medication, which made me sleepy. And even with that, and I had earplugs because I was in business class. So they gave us earplugs, and they gave us some really nice headphones, and, the headphones we didn't get to keep, but they were still they were like Bose headphones that we got to use.
Nice.
They gave us pajamas. It was funny because she comes out, she's like, oh, I've got pajamas here. And I'm like, oh, I'm good. I've got shorts and a t-shirt to sleep in. She goes, oh.
Pajamas? Get out of here.
She's like, are you sure? And I was like, I'm pretty sure you don't have pajamas that fit me. Yeah.
Where are you going to change? Where are you going to change into pajamas? Like airplane bathrooms are the worst.
So on international
planes, they're the worst. How I can't even bend over to poop in those things.
So on international planes, they're much bigger. So even in coach, the bathrooms are big enough to stand up in, and you can actually change. Even in our girthy, lovable size.
So they're big enough for you to become a member of the Mile High Club?
Yes, especially in business class. So they were definitely big enough for that.
Nice.
But yeah, so she's like, well, I think I do. And I was like, okay, well, give me your biggest size. And I go to put them on, and we're super tight, skin tight looking. I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Let me just hang out my shorts and t-shirt.
It's those childbearing hips.
Yeah. But yeah, they even gave us like a little overnight bag, like for bathroom stuff, toothpaste, toothbrush, all that stuff. It was in a nice little hard case. It was cool. It's good to be in business class.
And the plebs in the back, all they got was like sodas and shit.
Yeah. Oh, and this plane was a Hello Kitty plane. So like everywhere you looked was Hello Kitty. Like even the butter. Yeah. It was,
are you serious?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. That's cool. Were your pajamas Hello Kitty pajamas?
No. They were the Eva Air was the name of the company.
I don't.
Yeah. But the pillow was Hello Kitty that was in our thing. The flight safety thing was all Hello Kitty with like Hello Kitty characters doing the safety briefing.
That's adorable.
They even had the video where they do the safety stuff because they didn't have the flight attendants say it. They just had a video. It was all Hello Kitty. The butter was Hello Kitty.
Did you have like a sleeping cap?
I had a sleeping mask that they gave us, and it was Hello Kitty.
Oh, okay. It was
Hello Kitty. I have some of the stuff. I'll have to send you pictures. But yeah, it was all Hello Kitty stuff. It was kind of cool.
I love it.
But yeah, so that was, and the nice thing also, so when you're in like, coach, you hit your little button and you wait, 5-10 minutes for a flight attendant to come by to ask you, what do you want? This place, like I couldn't even wake up and they were already at my little bed pod area going, oh, would you like your breakfast now? And they knew my name and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. It's like, no, I just want to wake up first. Scary person in my face. So But yeah, so that was a really great
That's
experience
cool.
traveling that international. But even then,
So you were definitely pampered.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely pampered. But even then, 15 hours, man, I was ready to get off that damn plane.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, dude.
but yeah, so that
Yeah,
was cool.
planes suck.
But yeah, all the other
Yeah, that's
times,
nice. That's nice.
all the other times international, I always flew coach. A couple times I paid for the upgrade to the extra leg room, and let me tell you, that's worth the extra $100 or so, having that little bit of
Yeah,
extra leg room. So, because I'm
I agree.
taller than average, as are you. But
Yeah, my knees like basically hit the front seat in front of me. Almost.
yes,
They're
yeah.
pretty much there, and so I gotta sit in a very unnatural position.
And as soon as they
At
lean
least when I
back,
get the extra leg room, I can like stretch out a little
yeah,
bit, and
yeah,
then I got an issue, and I've always had this issue with my left knee,
mm-hmm,
where if it stays in the same position for too long, it almost like locks,
yeah,
and it becomes painful when I go to stretch it
yeah.
out.
That's my right knee, but I totally get you.
So
That's the old age kicking in.
yeah. So out of all the places that you've traveled to,
Mhm.
which one has been your favorite?
Oh, that's tough. Um,
Because you know the countries that you don't choose are the countries that will never allow you in there ever again.
yeah, okay.
So no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. So Italy was my favorite from a food and just the pace of life and things of that nature. It was just very relaxing and chill. I was there for work. I was there for 2 weeks, twice. And I was also there once in
Okay.
the Navy. And so I had enough time to really kind of experience the, life. I'm granted I'm staying in a hotel, but still, like I rode the bus to work and stuff like that. And it was just super chill. Singapore would be my favorite just from a wow factor because it was so clean, so different compared to a lot of places. There's definitely a lot of, I like high tech stuff. And there's definitely, I remember outside one of the shopping
Sure.
malls, they had Macross Plus or Robotech, like life size Robotech
Man.
um,
Mm.
machines and stuff like that. And they had this really cool botanical gardens with like I don't know, 100-foot waterfall inside of a dome. So it was just cool.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah, that sounds really amazing.
super safe. Poland, I think, is my favorite for the people. The people were super nice, even though
Okay.
a lot of them don't speak English comparatively to some other places I've been. They were still super, super nice. Whereas when I went to Italy by myself, nobody would talk to me, even though I'd picked up enough Italian to like get around. Like no one would talk to me. I don't know if it's because they were scared of me or what, but um, Poland, they were definitely nice. So yeah, those are the places. And I would go back to pretty much all of them. If given the opportunity, I'd go back again, except for Bahrain. No offense, Bahrain, you can keep me out. I don't want to go back. Did not have a great time in Bahrain.
What happened there?
There's just the inconvenience in a lot of ways. So it's a small island, and so I was there in the Navy, and we first pulled in, like you could go out in town and stuff like that. You just had to be back by like midnight, no big deal. But then they started having terrorist threats,
Okay.
so then they locked us down and stuff like that.
Oh,
And that's fine, whatever. But I think the problem was the cab drivers. So I'm used to getting in a cab. They've got a meter. You go about your way. You know how much you're going to get
sure.
charged,
Yeah.
or even Uber or Lyft or whatever. There, we
Right.
walked out of base, and there was like 50, guys. They were all guys. 50 guys waiting with cars, and they start basically haggling with you to get you in their car to ride. Well, the first trip we took, the guys like we were told don't pay more than 5 dinar, which was like $15. Don't pay more than that for everyone
Okay.
to get anywhere on the island. Like honestly, you should pay like the equivalent of $9, three dinar. And I was like, okay. So we get in the car with this guy, and he's like telling me it's gonna be 5 each, so $60 equivalent. And I was
Good
like,
Lord.
no, like, and he starts driving, and he's got a meter, but he doesn't use it. And so like I open the door, and I'm like, we'll get out now. I was like, I'm not paying that. And he goes, okay, 5 everyone. I was like, okay. And then we get there, and all I had was a 10, which was $30. And he goes, oh, thanks. I got you here really fast. I'm like, no, you didn't. It took 35 minutes. And all my friends already bailed. And he's like, well, I don't have change. And he opens up his wallet, and he's got 5 ones sitting there. And I was like, you do too. He goes, 5 ones. And so he pulls them out, and he's like, he gives me 3, and he keeps the other 2. And he goes, thanks, I got you here fast. By this point, I'm just over it. So I paid $21 basically for this ride that should have been equivalent of 15. But then after dinner, I was like, I don't want to deal with those guys again. So we decided to walk. It took us 10 minutes
Yeah.
to walk it. So it took us
Oh my
35 minutes to
God.
drive
Oh,
it. Yeah, so he was just ripping us off, and it was like this whole thing, and so I just that
That is
whole
so ridiculous.
and so and this is my opinion, so I don't want anybody to get mad. This is my experience. Bahrain used to have like a ton of money from oil and stuff, but because they stopped producing as much oil, the government started taking more money from the people, and so there's less to go around, and so it kind of started to
Yeah.
become a little bit run down, at least when I was there. Um, but
Yeah.
and I got to go to Dubai as part of the United Arab Emirates, and Dubai was like completely different comparatively. So
Was it?
I'd go back to Dubai. I've been to
Yeah.
Dubai even as a civilian, so that was fun. Yeah,
Nice. Awesome.
that's all the places I've
Awesome.
been.
So what is like the most favorite thing that sticks out in your mind that you've eaten at these countries that you've been at?
So, man, that's tough. So one of the things that sticks out of my mind was I had octopus tentacle in Italy the last
Okay.
time I was there, just a few years ago. I was in Milan and was there for a company thing, and it was a company dinner, and they pre-ordered everybody's food, basically. Like you had a couple choices in the entree, but for appetizers, we had a choice. And next thing you know, there's this tentacle, an octopus tentacle, which was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 inches long, just sitting there. It's like, I don't like chewy stuff. And I'm looking at this thing going, this is going to be chewy, but I don't want to offend anybody. So I
Yeah.
cut it up with a fork and knife. And actually,
Yep.
it wasn't. It was not chewy. It was actually pretty good. It was just different. So that was one thing that kind of sticks out. And then the others were eating tiramisu in Italy, sitting at a cafe across from the Pantheon, the Parthenon. I always get them confused. Anyways, it's where Raphael is entombed. And so we're just sitting there at this really cool historical place next to a really pretty fountain, just eating tiramisu. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
I didn't get to do a lot of fun stuff. I always did sightseeing kind of things. But
Sure.
never did anything like fun. Like even in Dubai, I kind of missed out on an opportunity to go riding ATVs and shit over sand dunes. And I don't know why I just never did it.
Oh, that sounds like
And
that would be amazing.
yeah, and they ended up going to like this like oasis, and they have like hookahs, and they serve food, and they have belly dancers and stuff. And all my friends who did it said it was such a great time. For whatever reason, I never did it. And I had several opportunities when I was there, because we were there for a week once, and I had like 5 days where I could have gone. But anyways, yes,
Oh, that's cool.
at least did get to go.
Well, I mean,
that stuff.
here's the thing: like when you're going there, or at least the context
Yeah.
to which you're taking these trips has to do either with the Navy or with work.
Right. Yeah. Except for the
So, like,
vacations to
you're
like
not
Mexico.
you're not
and stuff.
necessarily
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so like for the most part, you're there to do something, get out. You may have a couple of days. You're not necessarily planning a vacation or even budgeting for a vacation for
No,
that matter.
exactly.
So I can understand why you would just go and do a sightseeing. Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think that was part of the reason when I was in the Navy, I didn't do a lot of fun stuff, is because we didn't have a lot of extra cash. Like we just were tight on money at the time. And so I didn't get to do a lot of fun stuff. So, I mean, I had a thought and I lost it. So anyways, yeah, it's like you were trying to get in and out. Oh, Poland. So we were going to Poland. The project manager tried to book us on flights. So we'd land Sunday afternoon and then fly back out Friday. And so we'd have no time to do anything. And I found tickets that we'd fly back out. We'd fly in Sunday and then fly back out on Sunday. And so we'd have a couple extra days. But it was half the cost for the airfare. And so I went around and talked to everybody, and everybody was in agreement. Hell yeah, let's stay an extra 2 days. And in the end, I saved the company like $10,000 by us staying an extra 2 days. Even with the extra day of rental car and hotels and stuff, it still saved like 10 grand. So
nice.
That was one
That's
time.
awesome.
I always try to at least stay for a weekend. When I went to France, I did the same thing. We flew in on Sunday. I worked Monday through Thursday, and then Friday went back to Paris. And I actually had the rest of Friday and Saturday in Paris, and then Sunday flew back out.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So enough about me on this. We can come back to me. So where is the coolest place that you've been?
Boo. Yeah. You know, okay. So my experience is a lot more limited than yours because.
But I mean, you've been to Vegas. You've been to
Toronto's like it.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what's the coolest place?
I don't know. They're all kind of neat. They're all kind of neat. You know, here. Coolest place, Walt Disney World. by far.
Okay.
Right, Epcot, specifically Epcot. I remember when I was little,
Yeah.
not little, I was younger. I was a teenager at the time, and like my first time in Epcot, I thought it was kind of boring.
Right.
I I didn't like the World Showcase, right? I didn't that none of that stuff appealed to me.
Yeah.
So but now as an adult,
Right.
dude, that is my favorite by far because you get to experience so many different things in a very short period of time. Yeah, there's different types of food you can try out.
Yep.
The rides are also great and a lot of fun, but I've gone there just for dinner. One time I remember I was traveling there for work, and one of my coworkers wanted to go there. They actually do discount passes after a certain time of the day.
Right. Right.
So that's what we did. We wrapped up our day working and whatnot at the conference, and then we went to Epcot for dinner, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. It was awesome.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, I would say that to me is my favorite.
Yeah.
Obviously, I always enjoy going back to Puerto Rico as well because it's different, a little bit different than here. So I miss that a lot, but yeah, I would say that's kind of my favorite. Like I've been to Anaheim, and I'll be honest, like Anaheim is blah. It's blah.
No, they're never
There's a
letting you
lot
back in.
of the good thing that about Anaheim. Yeah, the good thing about Anaheim is there's a wide variety of different types of restaurants you can eat at.
Right.
Right outside the Anaheim Convention Center is famous not only for the conventions that happen there, but it's also famous for being a great filming location. Like Star Trek filmed a lot of the episodes where they're on Earth. They film there. They film there at the Anaheim Convention Center. So it's really cool. It's a really cool location, and surrounding that, and it's basically like a 10-minute walk to to Disneyland. But Disneyland compared to Disney World is a lot less impressive.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, it really is. It's like Disney World light.
So if you were going to take your kids to
And
one,
I
you want to go to
remember,
World, not Land, especially.
yeah, you want to go to World.
Okay.
Yeah. And the weather is probably a little bit nicer in Anaheim.
Of course.
It doesn't seem
humid.
quite as muggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But so Disneyland's okay. If you're there, awesome, enjoy it, have fun.
Right.
But if you got a choice between the two, Disney World all day. And since Disney World and the Convention Center are there in Anaheim, there's a ton of really great places to eat. One of my favorite spots there's this sushi place there that I remember going to. This was probably like 7 years ago.
Right.
Amazing service, amazing food. There's obviously steakhouses there, but like everywhere's got steakhouses, and they're all good,
Right.
But sushi can be,
Right.
you don't get the same experience, right?
Yep.
So anyway, so that's kind of what I like. Yeah, I would say Disney World, dude. Like, and usually when I go, it's with family. There's times where I've gone just for work, where my work has like rented part of the park.
Oh, sure.
For a whole night, so you have free reign over that part of the park and free food, free drinks, right? Like that is so much fun. So
That's cool.
and then I mentioned Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
The beaches, the food's amazing. Everyone's very nice there. Like the culture is different there. People actually like acknowledge you when you walk by them, and they even like wish you a good meal whenever whenever they're walking by you. So it's a really nice atmosphere to be in. That's way different than being here in the area that I live in. So yeah, but I would say that's probably my favorite.
Okay. Where would you? So we
Disney World.
I was gonna say, where would you go internationally? Is your first choice? Like, what's the place on your mind that you're like, I want to go there if I get like first opportunity to go international? That's where I want to go.
So I've always wanted to go to Italy.
Okay.
Always. I took Italian in high school for 2 years, and that was probably the first place abroad that I really wanted to go to.
Okay.
But I also have a couple of other places on my list. I have Japan. I would love to go to Japan. Me and my wife, we watch vloggers on YouTube, and we've been watching these vloggers on YouTube that just focus on Japan culture and life and all that sort of stuff. amazing way to kind of live vicarious through them.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's friends, just because, over the last couple of years, I've gotten into my family ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to go to the village that that side of the family's from.
Right.
Spain, I don't know. I hear some really great things about Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. Me and my wife were talking about England earlier this morning. It'd be great to go to England.
Sure.
So
So what's stopping you?
I would say, those are probably the top five.
Yeah.
What's stopping us has been traditionally it's been money.
Right.
We just haven't had. I'm the only one that makes money in the house,
Right.
right? So like we don't have a ton of spare cash,
Mm-hmm.
and the spare cash that we have goes into investing for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what stopped us.
Right.
But I've got a passport now. We just got to get the wifey a passport too, and she and I can go for a weekend. We can go for like a long weekend. Maybe we can go for a week, whatever. And also the kids haven't been at the right age where we can just leave them with someone.
Sure.
Like my mom, she's had health issues for several years,
Yeah.
so she can't stay with three kids for any extended period of time by herself.
Right.
Parents, or my wife's parents, they work
Right.
full time, so they don't have time to just take off for a week, right? So like it's money, it's resources. Can't take, if we're gonna go, I can't take the whole family, right? It's gonna have to be me and her. It's just not
And you definitely
financially feasible.
I think you definitely should just be you and her, because I think you probably need a trip like that anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would definitely not recommend just a long weekend. I think, just for one, you could do the trip to Italy, and honestly, it's whatever the airfare ends up being cheapest. But wherever you fly to in Europe, you could either take the train or another flight to another place for very little comparatively. So it would be worth it to book extra time so that you can go see more than just the one place. Because honestly, in my opinion, like take Rome. Rome's awesome. A lot of cool stuff in Rome. Definitely would go back. But I don't think you need more than just a couple of days there to get the feel of what you wanted to see from a historical aspect. But you could hop on a train and then go to Venice or Florence, or go over to the Alps in a train, or fly to France. And so there's a lot of options there when it comes to that. So definitely book yourself enough time, because the problem is getting there. You're going to lose a day of your time off just getting there and getting back. That's right, my recommendation.
That's fair
for anyone traveling, especially to Europe, because it's
well, that's why you're my new travel agent.
There you go. Yeah. And the other thing is fun. So I've thought about flying, because I want to go back to Italy. I want to take my girlfriend to Italy and see more. Again, take a week or whatever. The only problem I found in Italy and even in France is they tend to go on strike sometimes at random. So like the trains. And the thing is, they don't stop all trains. They just stop some trains. But one time it actually happened. It was my train that had an issue because of a strike. So I ended up having like a 6-hour delay trying to get back to the city where I was working over the weekend. It ended up being fine. I just got back a lot later, but it can disrupt your travel plans if that happens. So that's where flying or even renting a car is an option. You just have to read up on some different laws. Like France, I drove in France, and they have some different laws compared to the US. And so it's important to understand that. Because like when you're on the highway and you're driving, you're doing 60, 70 miles an hour on the highway, right? The person that's coming on the on-ramp in the US, they don't have right of way. They do in France. So you have to yield to them coming onto the highway. So it's things like that you just have to be aware of. Anyway.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, but
yeah,
that's my.
There's definitely going to be differences in laws and differences in cultures, and you just gotta be able to soak it in and not impose your own views.
Right.
But like the saying, "When in Rome, do as the Romans do," and I think that's
I think so too.
Very true. Yeah. True thing to live by.
I always try, when I go into a place where I know English isn't the first language, or even the very strong second language, I would typically learn enough of the language to get around. Not a lot, but like, hey, where's the bathroom? Where's my hotel? Things like that. Or, hey, hello, how are you today? Do you speak English? Because I find that, France gets a bad rap because people say, oh, well, they're so rude. And it's like, yeah, but you know what? I didn't experience that, because I would say hello to them because that's their culture. You say bonjour. And then I would say, I don't speak French. Do you speak English? And if they did, they usually were really nice about it. Sometimes they didn't, and we mined out what I needed done. Like I was trying to put gas in the car and it was not clearly labeled which was diesel and which is gas. And their nozzles are the same size.
Oh, okay.
Where ours in the States aren't. So you can't mess it up. There you can. And so I mined which one's the right one for my car. And this lady helped me out. So,
I mean, let's be honest. We need things like that here in the U.S.
yeah,
I think probably the average IQ here is probably lesser than some of the other countries out
that's what I typically tell people when they ask me about the States, is that I feel like we've gotten dumber.
there.
So,
We've gotten dumber, man.
and anybody who takes offense to that may have to look at themselves. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I agree. Hey, listen, like it's super easy to see, like if you're a human, person to person,
right.
it's easy to understand what somebody's priority is
Mm-hmm.
by looking at their budget,
Oh yeah,
right? Person to person, it's probably home, food, education, right?
yeah,
Those things are important.
yeah.
You look at the United States as a country,
Mm-hmm.
you look at the budget, that tells a way different story.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna leave that one, that landmine. I'm gonna leave right there, and we can probably pick it up later at a different
we could
episode.
piss off an entire group of people with our thoughts on some of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be fun.
that's right.
Views,
That's what
views
we're
are
here to do.
views, even if they're negative. So,
That's true.
oh man,
That's true.
But-
So okay, so other than the taxi driver that clearly tried to take advantage of you,
Mhm.
have you had? Well, actually, you just kind of talked a little bit
Ooh.
about it, so I'm good.
Actually,
I was gonna ask, like, what have you? Actually, no. I take it back. I take it back.
take
I
it back because I got a story for you. I think based
Take it
on your
back.
question. Go ahead and
Take it
ask
back.
it.
I take it back. I take it back. So, have you experienced any? Have you had bad experiences because you are an American when you travel abroad?
So I don't know if it was because I was an American. I go back to Italy. Like I said, people wouldn't generally talk to me, even though I would be able to actually speak a little Italian with them. And it was funny because when I went back the second time, when I was there for a long time, I took my ex-wife, and all of a sudden everybody spoke to us. So I don't know if it's so much because I was an American or just because I'm bigger than most Italians, width and height. So I don't know.
Big and imposing,
Right. So I don't know if that's part of it. So maybe that's why they didn't. But I will tell you, like I said, I don't know if it was because I'm American, but I'll tell you about the time they tried to rob me on a train in Paris. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
do tell.
So
Spill the tea.
there with my ex-wife, we were in Paris. We were taking the subway to go sightsee, and I was wearing cargo shorts because I like to be in fashion, and so I'm wearing cargo shorts. And it was getting close to our stop, and it was a little busy at the time. So I was like, well, let's go ahead and get up and get close to the middle area where the doors are. And so we get up and we start walking, and there's two guys talking to each other, and they're kind of blocking the way. And the seat to the left was open. There was an older lady sitting there, and she kind of motioned for my wife to sit down. So she sat down. And so I'm standing there talking to my, ex-wife, and we're sitting there talking or whatever. And I feel something hit my pocket on my shorts. And I was like, well, that's weird. And I was like, well, maybe it's just, I look down and I see this guy has a shopping bag, the train's moving and stuff. So I figured maybe it just tapped my pocket, no big deal. So a few seconds later, it happens again. And I look down and I see his hand come up behind the bag. He was clearly trying to get into my pocket, which was buttoned. Now, luckily, it was just my cell phone in there, but that would have still sucked. And I tell my ex, I'm like, hey, let's get up and go to these other doors on the back part of the train. We'll go there. And as I start walking, this other guy is coming up the aisle. And we start doing that whole like, oh, let me go by you. Oh, I'll come by, kind of a dance that you do sometimes with people. And I'm telling him, I'm like, pardonnez-moi, excusez-moi, and trying to get by him, and saying that in French. And then I realize he's clearly blocking me. He's not trying to just, oh, no, he's blocking me. And then I feel the other two guys come up behind me. And so now I'm surrounded by these three guys. And I feel them tugging at my pocket again. And that's when I just lash out and I just raise my hands up and I just, in my really deep kind of voice, I was like, get the fuck off me. And they did, and they ran off and
Yeah, boy.
grabbed my ex, and we ran off the train. And it was funny because she's like, "Were they trying to molest you?" And I'm like, "No, they were trying to rob me." So, yeah, so that was my experience. And she's like, "Of all the people,"
And that's when you got recruited to the Russian mafia.
she's like, "Of all the people, they're gonna try to rob you," and I'm like, "I don't know." So, but
dude, that's so stupid. So try to rob the biggest guy on the train.
yeah, but hey, you know,
So
I was
ridiculous.
definitely heavier, fatter looking, so maybe they thought I was an easy mark. So I don't know. But they didn't get anything. Luckily, like I said,
Idiots.
I had my
Idiots
pocket
alone.
money, but yeah. So that was that was a bad experience I had in France. And the thing is, I know about all this stuff. Like I read about like
That's terrible.
the train stop we were getting off on. They
Pickpocketing.
There were warnings
You know,
said
yeah.
this is the worst spot. Like, do not leave your purse sitting in the seat. Always have it like holding it because they will just grab your purse and run. You know, things like that. And I've learned other tricks. Like if you buy something from a street vendor, never have them put it in a bag. Put it in your own bag, put it in your backpack, or don't put it in a bag at all, unless you can watch them pick it up and put it in, because they will switch it out on you. I had a friend in the Navy who bought a camera from a street vendor, and he got back to the ship and it was a box of rocks. They will do that stuff.
Oh
to you.
my God, dude.
Don't give money to beggars.
I'd be so pissed.
Don't give money to beggars, because a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times there's somebody watching where you put your money so they can then pickpocket you afterwards. And definitely put your money, your wallet, in your front pockets if you are carrying cash, which you probably should have some.
Yeah.
That was the reason I started carrying a money clip, because my wallet was always so fat. I hated having it in my front pocket. So I started carrying a money clip, and I had that money clip for 20 years. I finally got a new one just because I wanted something different.
Smart.
Yeah. So
smart.
Some tricks of the trade dealing with that. Because like there's some places like I haven't been there, but my family lived in Romania for a short period of time, and they actually will maim children, or did. I don't know if they still do this, but they were maiming children to make them look more pathetic to beg. So
that's so sad.
Yeah. Don't want
to
throw
is
all of
sad,
Romania
disgusting,
under the bus, but
and pitiful.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Yeah. Anyways, that's such a cheery note to end the episode on.
Yeah, I think so too. Words of wisdom for everybody who does travel. Definitely
words of wisdom.
Get out, see the world. In my opinion, I'll say this. I know it's going to be a little controversial, but this isn't the best country. And again, I've been all over the world. I can tell you there are better places. It's not a bad country. There's definitely problems, but there's definitely better places to go and visit and see and just experience. Get out of your comfort zone.
Awesome. I think that's a really good advice. I'm sure that there's going to be some people out there clutching their pearls after you said that.
Probably. I don't care. Whatever. It is what it is. We can always edit if you don't like it. You can cut it out if you don't like
it. Oh, I'm keeping that in.
Okay, cool.
So that's it for today's episode. We're going to be releasing these bi-weekly as video to YouTube and as an audio version on all podcasting platforms. So please make sure you subscribe and check out the links in the description for more content. Titan, what's the topic to our next episode?
So on our next episode, we're going to have a special guest, Moni from Initiate Opulence podcast, and we're going to discuss how to be a gentleman in 2023.
Yeah, that ought to be a very lively conversation. So I'm really excited to have her on next go around. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for watching. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.